That sound of exasperation coming from the closet could only be from one person. I'm assuming it's because Monica has moved her manga. I guess I could head over to the closet to see if I can help. Not that it isn't plainly obvious, but she definitely seems to be annoyed. I approach her in order to lend, or at least offer a hand. Something wrong?
Freaking Monica! She never puts my stuff back in the right spot! What's the point in keeping your collection organized if someone else is just gonna mess it up?
Natsuki slides a bunch of stacked books and boxes across the shelf. Your manga collection?
Yeah, you read manga too, right?
I've been known to dabble. And by dabble, I mean yes, I do. And an anime. Of course I do. Well, sort of. I prefer anime myself, but I have read some manga as well. Though I suppose, fictional or not, the other MC was right about one thing. It seems like manga and even anime are one of those things where you can't really admit you're into it until you figure out where the other person stands. I suppose I did mention it earlier, didn't I? Natsuki nods.
Yep, and I had you pegged as a weeb when I saw you.
What's that supposed to mean? Ouch, that obvious, huh? Natsuki exhales through her nose with a wide grin before going back to the task at hand. There's a lone volume of manga amidst a stack of various books on the side of one of the shelves. Curious, I pull it out of the stack.
There it is!
Natsuki snatches it out of my hand. She then turns to a box of manga and slips the volume right into the middle of the wrist.
Ah, much better. Seeing a box set with one book missing is probably the most irritating sight in the world.
I know that feeling. I got a closer look at the box set she's admiring. Ah, of course, Parfait girls. Admittedly, I've been curious about this fictional series. Well, okay, fictional fiction within a fiction. Never mind.
What do you mean, of course? Just because I'm a girl and the name of the series is Parfait Girls, you just assume that I mean there's something girly?
Sigh. Yup. As I was afraid, she completely misunderstood, though I honestly can't blame her. The air quickly fills with tension. I need to defuse this situation immediately. What should I say? Lighten the mood. Not at all. You just struck me as having a sweet tooth, so with a title like that, it makes sense. It could have said Pie Guys on the cover and I'd still have the same reaction. But seriously, if you've seen some of the manga I've read, you'd know I have no room to judge. Wait, what did I just say? Natsuki looks at me confused at first, then grins the most devilish grin I've ever seen. Uh-oh, that's never good. I realize now in my flustered state that I may have inadvertently given her the wrong idea. I really hope she doesn't...
You like it's bedtime, don't you?
Hey, quiet, that's... what I thought she'd say. Damn it, I knew I shouldn't have phrased it that way. No, it's not like that. I just meant that I like slice of lifestyle manga and anime as well.
Uh-huh, sure. So you've never looked.
By now, I've probably turned about as pink as her hair. I admit nothing.
Ha! Yeah, I'm sure.
You're just projecting.
What is that supposed to mean?
Oh, nothing. Anyway, sorry about the misunderstanding.
Well, it was just the tone of your voice at first. It's all right. But I'll tell you one thing, Hal. Consider this a lesson straight from the literature club.
Don't judge a book by its cover. Natsuki looks stunned at first that I beat her to the punch.
Yeah. You know, nobody likes a know-it-all.
Ah, sorry about that.
Whatever. Anyway,
Natsuki pulls out the first volume of Parfait Girls from the box.
I'm gonna show you exactly why you should never judge a book by its cover. By its cover.
She shoves the book right into my hands. I stare at the cover. It's amazing the amount of detailed work in just the cover art alone. It features 4 girls in colorful attire striking the stereotypically animated heroine poses. Natsuki would kill me if I told her it was cute, but at the same time it's very... no way.
Don't just stand there.
Natsuki grabs my arm and pulls me out of the closet. She then takes a seat on the floor towards the back of the classroom. She pats on the ground next to her, signaling me to sit there. Well, this is close. I can't recall the last time I sat on a floor cross-legged and read with someone. Huh, the floor is a bit cold.
You get used to it. Besides, sitting in chairs wouldn't work. We can't read at the same time like that.
Screw it. True. Plus, I guess it's easier to be closer together like this. A smirk flashes across my face.
Don't just say that. You'll make me feel weird about it.
Natsuki crosses her arms and scooches an inch away from me. I can't help but let out a sigh, or a laugh, rather. Come on, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. I just couldn't help it. I can't remember if there's supposed to be a T in scooches or not. I'm pretty sure you don't need it. Though, to be fair, I didn't exactly expect to be sitting this close to her, either. I mean, I wanted to. Well, at any rate, I shouldn't be surprised, but it still kind of catches me off guard. I decide I should get serious and open the book. It's only a few seconds before Natsuki once again inches closer, reclaiming the additional space while she hopes I won't notice. I can feel her peering over my shoulder, much more eager to begin reading than I am.
Well, how long has it been since I read the beginning?
I take you haven't gone back and reread through these in a while.
Not really.
I get bored sometimes when I'm between series, so I'll usually pick up an older one I haven't read in a while and go back through it. It's kind of interesting to go back through a series from the beginning when you've already read it.
Wouldn't that just be boring, though, if you already knew how it ended?
Sometimes, but a lot of times you reread it with a different mindset, since you know how the motivations of all the characters. Or since you now know all the... yeah. It causes you to look at the story from a different, almost omniscient perspective. Before, when you, as the reader, were experiencing the story for the first time, you had no idea what was going to happen next. But when you go through a second time, it allows you to pick up on subtle things that the author added that many didn't notice the first time. Hints or things about the character's personality, or foreshadowing, or future events.
I guess, but do those things really add to the story? And what if people just think things are intentionally added by the author but aren't?
I shake my head. I think they add a lot of depth to a story. As for whether or not some things are intentional, well, a good magician never reveals their tricks. So a good author, whether intentional or not, might not always want to reveal whether they added something on purpose or it was just a happy coincidence. What does that matter anyway, if in the end it just makes the story all that more enjoyable? I can tell by this point I've kind of lost Natsuki's interest as she gently shrugs and looks back down at the open book.
Hey, are you paying attention?
Sorry about that. I am, but nothing's really happened yet, so I can talk at the same time. It looks like it's about a bunch of friends in high school. Typical slice of life affair. Although I do enjoy these types of stories, it's usually only the ones that also have a meaningful plot, which so far this doesn't appear to have. So, is this strictly SOL, or is it one of those that has a deeper story and plot?
Well, obviously. You think I would enjoy something that didn't have a plot? I mean, well, I guess I know what you're saying. A lot of the beginning is about simple things. Like, there's a really funny chapter where they're obsessed with a guy at the ice cream shop. But that just helps you get to know the characters. And besides, it's still entertaining. But later on, there's all kinds of drama. Like when they get into all their backstories and when some of the romance starts to happen. That's really what makes it so good. There are so many touching parts.
Is that so? I guess I'll give it a shot then. I was prepared for this to be more disappointing than an unsalted pretzel.
Hey, wait! What's that supposed to mean?
Natsuki gives me a little shove. Hey, lots of people like unsalted pretzels.
Huh, good save.
So, not to make baseless assumptions.
Oh boy, what?
I was just curious. This first chapter seems to be about baking.
Well...
Natsuki pauses for a moment, as if she doesn't want to admit something.
Yeah. Why does that matter?
It doesn't. I was just curious. Is this what got you into baking?
That's just a coincidence. I just happened to get into baking around the same time I got this manga. Like I would ever get into anything because it's in a manga. I feel bad for anyone that impressionable.
I'm not sure why she's so defensive about that of all things. In my world, there are tons of mystery thrillers and novels that actually predicate themselves on having cooking be an integral part of the story. Complete with real recipes printed in them as well. Authors like Joanne Fluke or MC Beaton that take their love of cooking and turn it into a cozy mystery series. It appeals to those that both love fictional stories and baking, which admittedly may seem pretty niche, but it's a thing that exists nevertheless. I even knew someone that was into those kinds of stories. I suppose if I had a nickel for every person I've met that enjoyed baking thanks to fiction, well, I'd have 2 nickels. But it's weird that it happens twice. Nonetheless, who am I to judge? Slow clock spin. We read on for a few more minutes. I've finished a couple chapters at this point. Are you sure this isn't boring for you?
It's not.
Even though you're just watching me read?
Well, I'm fine with that.
If you say so. I guess it's fun sharing something you like with someone else. If I'm being honest, it's kind of refreshing. I just mean I never really had anyone else that shared my interest in this stuff before.
Well, I can relate to that.
Oh?
Yeah, I mean, the only other people I really know I like this stuff, aside from the others in the club, is my roommate Amy.
What? Roommate? Since when? Why does that name sound familiar? Oh, I didn't know you had a roommate. Wait, aren't you a little young to have a roommate?
We don't, live on our own. I live with Amy, our mom. I I pretty much had to after...
She falls silent. Huh, I don't recall this being the case previously. I wonder what happened to her dad then. I have to stay my morbid curiosity though, as prying into something like that is likely a pretty sensitive topic for her. I see. Well, Amy doesn't like manga then, I take it. Natsuki seems thankful for the change in topic as she regains a little bit of her composure.
She's a bit of a bookworm, like more than Yuri even, but she's only ever interested in boring non-fiction documentary type stuff. When she realized I was into manga, she gave me that same look that everyone else gives me, like a pity smile as if I'm some poor lost kid with a coloring book hobby.
Oh well, I'm sure she probably doesn't mind it, she just doesn't really know much about it. Have you ever tried talking to her about it?
Nah, she wouldn't understand it. She's too snooty and high class for that kind of thing.
That last part was said with a heavy dollop of sarcasm.
Her house even has its own library. It's a bit much if you ask me. Like, who are they trying to impress?
I'm guessing that Amy comes from a pretty financially well-off background, which would explain Natsuki's dislike for her, given that Natsuki came from with the complete opposite background. Well, at least you have the Literature Club as a safe haven. Wait.
I know, right? If it wasn't for this club, I probably... well, it wouldn't be pretty.
Yeah, I could see it being a great place for the rest of the club members. And now you have me as well. Natsuki looks like I have bugs crawling out of my mouth. It wasn't until a couple of seconds later that I realized what I said. No. I just meant, like, you have someone that shares your interest in manga to read with, that's all. Natsuki stops.
Yeah, smooth move.
You don't have to say it like that.
Anyway, I don't think I've ever asked you, but aside from slice of life, what other kinds of manga do you like? Any good series?
Well, I guess you could say I've been really into the isekai style lately.
Oh god, really? Don't they all just basically follow the same formula?
Not always, but I will admit there can be a pattern. It's just in how they execute it that makes some of them worth reading or watching to me.
So what ones are you into?
Well, let's see. One is called Crystalline, and it follows this guy who gets sucked into another world from our world.
Of course.
I try to ignore her sarcasm, and then finds himself in a world that is full of magic. He basically has no skills at first, because, duh, he's from our world, he's just a regular person. But comes to find out that he does somehow mysteriously possess some magical abilities, and has to help fight a growing dark force that threatens the magical world. Anyway, I won't spoil the rest, but it's pretty interesting. There's another one called Ethereal Enigma from the same creator, but in this one the magical person comes to our world.
Sounds pretty generic to me.
They're a love it or hate it genre, but I really like them. I decided to use this moment as a segue to test something, though my heart is kind of racing and I'm not sure why. Do you ever wonder if there are other worlds outside of this one? She stares at me for a moment as if I were crazy.
Well, if there are, it'd be kinda cool.
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, think of all the kinds of different manga they have.
Really? That's the first thing you think of when you think of other worlds?
Why not?
It seems a little, I don't know, dull?
Pish, dull? Well, what do you think about when you think of other worlds? And if you say it's harms, I'll punch you.
Then I have nothing to say. She punches me in the arm anyway. Hey, what was that for? I didn't say anything.
Exactly, pervert.
I'll have you know that if I discovered another world, my first thought would be how to communicate. I mean, there's no guarantee that people, if that's even what they'd be, from another world would even be able to speak the same language. In fact, it'd almost definitely be the case that they wouldn't.
You put way too much thought into this.
I mean, it helps that I'm smack dab in the middle of such a case, but I suppose I lucked out on the language part. Though I suspect that's more related to direct connection with my brain. I'm sure there's a sciencey explanation that Mr. X would give on how everything auto-translates.
Although, truth is, I think, if such a place did exist, I would probably want to live there instead.
This catches me off guard a little. Really? You'd want to leave everything behind just to live in a strange place you've never been in? What about your friends and family?
Well, I don't really have many friends, and as far as my family goes, I'm probably better off anyway. I don't have much family either, just my dad and aunt and a couple of cousins. But aside from my dad, the rest live so far away I rarely ever see them anyway.
I see. I think carefully about whether or not to broach the subject of her father. I've been pretty careful up to this point about not touching that subject unless she brings it up. I have to admit, though, I'm curious whether or not he's still in her life and if he's still hurting her. Natsuki, if you don't mind. I can see her face wince a little as she looks back down at the book.
Are you gonna keep reading or what?
Yeah. I guess now's not the time. I flip the page. Suddenly, in an almost abrupt 180, Natsuki starts laughing.
I totally forgot that happens.
Natsuki puts her finger on one of the panels.
Midori is my favorite character. You always feel a little bad for her since she's so unlucky. But it gets especially bad when... Ugh. I shouldn't be talking about that yet. Just finish this chapter.
Natsuki's voice sparkles with excitement. It's a stark contrast to her usual bossy tone. But if she's not used to sharing her favorite manga with her friends, I can understand why. It's hard to express in words the feeling you get when connecting with someone like that. And being able to provide that to Natsuki, for whom it's a rare experience, the thought makes me smile a little to myself.
Okay, everyone.
Eh?
Are you all ready for today's poems?
Jeez, Monica, you scared the crap out of me.
Oh, come on! Could your timing be any worse? Sorry. I just need to make sure we have enough time. But you do look pretty cozy over there. Eh? Ah!
So Natsuki suddenly notices how close she's gotten to me. She hastily slides herself a good 12 inches away from me. Alright, guess we'll stop here for now. I close the book and start to hand it back towards Natsuki, but then hesitate for a moment. Actually, would it be alright if I borrowed this for a while? I'm kind of curious what happens next. Unless that is you want it back. Totally understandable. If so, I just figured since you already know what's coming, I could get a bit further ahead.
Don't be dumb! Just take it home with you.
Eh? You sure? I know how much Natsuki treasures her collection, so it really means a lot that she's willing to let someone who's practically a stranger to borrow it.
Well, of course. It would take forever to finish if you didn't take it home. Just finish that one for tomorrow so we can start the next one. And if it gets bent, I'll kill you.
By tomorrow? I only got partway through the volume so far. I might fall behind on Yuri's book, or heck, even my sleep if I try to get through this. But I suppose that's a necessary sacrifice in exchange for seeing Natsuki's enthusiastic face. Or am I more scared of what will happen if I don't finish it? Alright then. I stand up. I return to where I put my stuff and carefully slip the book into my bag. And now I can see him. Who's first? Natsuki. Fair is fair. I told Natsuki I was interested in her poems yesterday, so I should probably share mine with her first.
So did you actually write a poem, or...?
What? Of course I did. Why wouldn't I? That was the assignment, wasn't it? I hand her my poem while trying not to look too incensed. A world without heroes. Bar. Heroes and villains that clash with swords, summoning demons and monster hordes, where stories are told in colorful ways on pages in books or animated plays. Magical spells are like everyday things, where everyday paupers can topple mad kings. Fantastic worlds full of hope and despair, where good can triumph and justice is fair. But at the end of the day, when all's said and done, we return to a world where evil can run. Is it any wonder why people of all ages choose to lose themselves among those pages? Real life is messy, justice is biased. That's why I spend my time where my hope is highest.